We're in kind of a different arrangement often. I'm trying to figure out how to do different things here during COVID. So I usually, before an ordination, I speak from there, but this was better for COVID reasons, and so we're kind of all in a circle. It's nice. I want to, just before the ordination this morning, talk a little bit about ordination, and then a few comments about Shinei and Genki, which they were not really super enthusiastic about me doing, but they're over there, so we can do what we want. And then I have a favor to ask you. In most religious traditions, at least in modern North America, ordination is something that happens after a period of study for a person who is going to become a clergy person. So if you're going to become a minister or going to become a priest of some kind, you would be ordained. But typically the ordination happens after a period of study. It's kind of the culmination or completion of a course of study, and marks a person's position in that. And that is true in some ways within our tradition and within the ordination that we'll be engaging in this morning. Both Shinei and Genki have practiced in this way for quite a few years, and their life has been formed by it and through it. And so an ordination like this marks something. It marks some way in which they have learned to walk the path of Zen, the path of awakening, the path of the Buddha. The term ordination comes from a root that means something like to put something in order, to order things. And so an ordination is a celebration that things have been put into order, as well as an ordering. An ordering that isn't our normal way of thinking of an order in a worldly sense, but that their life has been put in order through walking the path, through facing thing after thing after thing as an instance of, as an opportunity for discovering what the Buddha mind is, what the Buddha woke up to. In Chinese, which is also the word that's used in Japanese for ordination, the word is Tokudo. And Tokudo means to gain the term in Japanese is wataru. It means to like walk across one step at a time. So we could call it the path, but it's not the path that exists there before that you're just taking. It's the path that emerges as you walk. Right? So oftentimes we think of a path as being, oh, it's there whether I'm here or not. Right? Whether I'm walking or not, the path is there, and I might walk the path or not walk the path. That's not how it is in our tradition. There's only a path if it is walked. So gaining this walking is gaining the way, it's gaining the path. And it comes from 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. One day, the next day, the next day, the next day. Taking each of those instances as the real truth of our life, not as just a way to get somewhere else, but a way to wake up to our life. And in our tradition, we have ordinations that are ordinations for people who are training to be priests, and ordinations for people who are not training to be priests. Both of these ordinations are extremely important. In some temples, we call one priest ordination and the other one lay ordination. I don't like that terminology. We're trying to grow better terminology in North America, because it sounds like one is the real one and the other one is the not real one, right? It's a kind of lesser one, but that's not the case here. The priest ordination is an ordination in which a person is going to train for the vocation of being a priest, for someone who will be at the center of a temple community, caring for it day in and day out. That's their primary focus of their life. That's the role of a priest. But without the role of people who are not priests, the role of a priest doesn't have any meaning. That these two are really deeply connected. and that there is leadership that comes from people who are not priests. There's important spiritual guidance that priests can't do, actually. And so this path of ordination is a true ordination. It is not a lesser ordination in the way that we tend to think of lay as being. So we use the term Zaikei Tokudo, Shukkei Tokudo and Zaikei Tokudo. That's a kind of a sleight of hand you do if your tradition is fresh from another language, is you just go back to the old words and pretend like there's no conflict. So we'll do that for now. So what is ordination within Zen tradition? Traditionally, we would talk about it as a master-disciple relationship, which are not words that kind of flow easily into the modern ear. Master and disciple. But actually, we should think about that. Our tradition tells us that this dharma is passed down from generation to generation through the bodies, hearts, minds, breath of people. It's not an abstract thing. It's not something that you study and then you know. It's out here in a book somewhere. It's something that becomes your being. And that the only way to encounter that dharma is to encounter a being who has received that dharma through their body, through their heart, through their mind, through their breath, through their life. And in that sense, it's not a teacher-student relationship in the sense that, we have a textbook that we're all going to study. Our textbook is life. Our textbook is our being. And so we have to come at the study in a very direct way, a direct kind of meeting. And so we usually say teacher and student because master and disciple freaks people out, and that's fine. But teacher-student, we should think of it in the most profound ways. If you think about teachers in your own life who have really transformed your way of living, you didn't just hear something they said, you met something in them, and they met something in you. It went both directions, and you were being turned. That's what we're trying to take care of in this teacher-student relationship of the Zen tradition. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs from the beginning of a short text that I give to my students when they become formal students or disciples. Ordination and discipleship. Ordination is a dharma gate that ties teacher and student together in profound reflection and relationship. It is the basis for continuation of the dharma lineage and a force for personal and world transformation. The nature of our entwining is mysterious. Buddha's awakening pulls deeply on our hearts and minds and holds a mirror to our deep intention to walk the bodhisattva path. Much of what comes from entering the gate of discipleship is difficult to describe directly or quantify. The mysterious guidance of the Buddhas and ancestors is not to be perceived. It is of the nature of faith, a shadow dancing through a dark room. This entwining of student and teacher is also practical and embodied. In this sense, there are points that we strive to explore and clarify. Our life appears as a reflection in the great mirror and must be faced through dedication and countless decisions of where to place our next step. The spiritual life of the disciple is unfolding as the tradition itself, and as an embodiment of the tradition, the teacher is a guide as well as a barrier gate. So a couple of things I want to point out in this. That to enter into discipleship, as well as receiving precepts, or as well as learning to sit zazen, any of the practices that we engage, we are backed up by Buddhas and ancestors. There are countless beings through many, many worlds that have endeavored to plummet this way. And so as we enter into a relationship through ordination, that guidance is there in a more and deeper and more profound way. But it is mysterious. There's no list that I have given Shinei and Genki that says, starting tomorrow, this is what you must do. Well, actually, there is one. But it doesn't say you have to wake up at this time, or you have to eat this food, or you have to do this in your life or that in your life in this kind of very specific way. That this guidance which they receive, a shadow dancing through a dark room, it always has to be a question. That's actually what the ordination provides. It doesn't just set things in a predetermined order. It asks someone to ask the question every day. What does it mean to take this next step? Where do I put my foot? And to live in the question is what the Buddhas and ancestors provide for us. Because they don't speak very clearly. I'm trying to emulate that now. But at the same time, the entwining of a student and teacher is practical and embodied. It is like, what am I going to do? Right now, today. How am I going to do my hair? What am I going to have for breakfast? How am I going to meet my friend? How am I going to respond to the tragedy of the world? How am I going to celebrate what it means to be alive? Not in an abstract way, but in a concrete way. And in that way, all people that are endeavoring to follow the path, you are the tradition. The tradition isn't something that comes to you. Your life is the tradition. The receiving is the enacting out. And in the relationship between a teacher and a student, that comes down to the nitty-gritty. What are we going to do? And in that sense, the teacher is a guide. I've sat with Shinei and Genki for many hours. And we have talked about the way. Again, not in an abstract way, but like, how do I take care of my dog? And so a guide and a barrier gate. A barrier gate can mean a lot of different things, but what I'll put forward here is it means I'm not always right. I'm a pain in the rear. If you ask my students, I think most of them will tell you that's true. People wearing masks, so they're kind of hiding there. Yeah. But it's supposed to be that way, because a human life meeting a human life is not something that should be simple and clean. If it is, it's just a transaction, like at the grocery store. When we invest in each other, things get messy. And without getting messy, we don't really get to the sweet, sweet juice of what it means to wake up as a human, not as my disembodied idea of what it would be to be a spiritual being. So let me just say a couple things about Shinei and Genki, and then I have one favor to ask you. I first met Shinei, I don't know if it would be the right word to say met. We were sitting a meditation intensive together at Dharma Zen Center, a session or meditation intensive. And it must have been in the late 90s or early 2000s. I had just returned back from Japan within maybe a year or two, and I came back in 98. And I hadn't been able to sit sesshin for a couple of years. Had a young child, Satsuki, was a baby. And this was the first time I was able to go to meditation intensive for a long time. And I was really excited. And so I went to this meditation intensive that Dharma Zen Center was holding for the Buddha's enlightenment session called Rohatsu. And Kyogen Carlson Roshi was teaching that year. And when I arrived a couple days into the session, and he welcomed me, and then we sat there for 5 days. It was wonderful. And I really remember Shinei. There was maybe 60 or 70 people there, most of which I've forgotten. but for some reason, she really stood out to me. I don't think she came to see me in Sanzen, which I was also very surprised to do Sanzen. That's where you meet a teacher that's just with people privately. I showed up just planning to just sit, and Kyogen Carlson Roshi was like, okay, you need to do Sanzen. He said, there's too many people for me to do. And I said, well, I've never done that before. I've never given Sanzen before. He said, it's not so hard. Just go sit in that room and people will come see you to talk to them. I was like, okay, thanks. But I really remember Shinei from that retreat. And then at times when I would go to Dharma Rain, I would see her there, but we never, I don't think we ever spoke. And then several years ago, Kyogen Carlson Roshi passed away suddenly. She was a very, very close disciple, is a very, very close disciple of Kyogen Carlson Roshi. And I saw her at the funeral, a shorter cremation and funeral, and then at the larger funeral, but we'd never met. And then, a couple years ago, she moved down here to Eugene, and she started to come to Buddha Eye Temple. And slowly and surely, she started to come and see me in Sanzen. Very shy at first. It made sense. She's the disciple of a very keen, very wise, and powerful teacher. And so I really appreciated it. It seemed to me that she's really checking me out. Is this guy like trustworthy? Can he really meet me in the way that I know I need to be met? Because she knew what it meant to really be met by a teacher. And eventually, she asked me to become her teacher. I must say that this is an incredible honor. It's always an incredible honor to have a student, but to continue the work that Kyogen Carlson Roshi did with her, continues to do with her, is a kind of honor that also feels like a great responsibility. You'll see his pictures here on the altar. For those of you who don't know, he was one of the key founders of this temple and a great mentor to me when I returned from Japan. Now, for those of you who have met Shinei, she's quiet. She's a bit shy. But this is her wisdom. This is her depth. If you learn to look and listen well, she will show you a treasure. Well, that's on you. She's not the kind of person to just be babbling on and on. Like, now, Genki is also a mysterious karmic connection. I remember the first time I met him, my wife Alisa and I were at a coffee shop downtown, the Palace Bakery, and we used to like to go there and have a coffee and a pastry, and Saturday morning she would go to the Saturday market to buy vegetables and things, and we were there, and Zach and Shara, long-term supporters of the temple, Zuishin and Shara, came, and Zuishin's sister Dana was with them, which I had met several times before that. And then there was this guy with her who had Freddy tattooed to his leg. And that's the first thing I remember about Genki. Freddy, the like nightmare, was that Elm Street? Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy? It was like really big on his leg. We were like, wow, what is this? But it was so beautifully done. And then there was Genki with his energy just shooting out of his body. And we talked a little bit, and it was good to meet him. And then for many years, maybe you guys would come up and visit sometimes, and maybe our paths crossed a few times. And then you asked me to perform your wedding ceremony. 5 years?
Oh no.
6?
Oh no, it's 6.
6
It's
years.
gonna be 7.
Okay. He's not listening right now. It's okay.
But together like 15. So that was wait.
Yeah, together for a very long time, married for 6. And so I was able to go to LA, and we had the wedding, and that was really wonderful. And that was the first time I got to really know Kenny, to know Genki a bit. And we sat and worked on his vows. When they do a wedding, I asked the bride and groom to write their own vows independent. And he, oh my gosh, I thought his head was going to explode. But he had so much depth to what it is that he wanted to express. But he was so nervous about it. So we spent a long time getting those put together, and then it came off really brilliantly. But what I began to learn about Genki at that time was he has been on a long road of very deep work, of healing, that is only possible through discovering a heart of compassion. There's just like no way to do the kind of deep healing work that he's done from, I think it's fair to say, a traumatic life. And I so appreciated that about him when I got to know him a little bit more, and so appreciated about that about him now. Genki is not shy or quiet, so this combination is very touches my heart. But in the same way that you have to learn to listen to Shinei to hear her wisdom, you have to learn to listen to Genki, because he will say a lot. And how do you hear the depth of what it is that he's saying? There is a radiance, not just in his kind of bundle of energy, personality, and physicality, but in the way he sees the world. If you want to learn about that, you have to learn to listen to him well. You have to learn to listen for the stillness which is there in the ever-churning fire of his heart, because it's true and he knows it, and he can share it with you. So the last thing I'll say, this is the favor, and this is a favor that I always ask at an ordination. I want to ask you to endeavor to see Shinei and Genki as the people that they intend to be. This is a deep power of community, that when people put their intention forward and they state it clearly, it's not just that you're holding them accountable, although that's true, but that you see them as they wish to be seen. And as you do that, that is the greatest support to them in their own continual walking on the path. But what I would like to add this year, I always say that, what I'd like to add this time is this is for you as much as it is for them. To cultivate the eye which sees the awakening of other beings is to cultivate the eye that sees the awakening in your own self. It's love that looks for that deep current in each other. And that is a reliable thing. So as you look for that, it's not just to kind of pump them up, but also to find your own true heart. And they're putting themselves on the line in that way. So please meet them there. source of mind is utterly calm. The sea of the Dharma profoundly deep. Those who are deluded about this flounder in confusion for endless kalpas. Those who awaken to it attain liberation in this very place. To clarify the path within the duties of the world is an ancient vow of fearless bodhisattvas. Our great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, dedicated countless lives helping others cross the great river of suffering. Simply sharing his strengths with others through countless lives of countless bodies and countless responsibilities, the great bodhisattva found a way to illuminate the world. Indeed, do not doubt. Upon the arising of Bodhi mind, Buddha awakening is already completely round and full. Upon atoning for our harmful karma, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, receiving precepts and vowing the Bodhisattva vows, the boundless body of Buddha is revealed. Upon cutting the Shuddha and donning the Buddha robe, you become a supreme example to the world, a great traveler on the path of freedom. Let us work the oars for the benefit of all beings. Through discipleship in the Buddha's lineage, both body and mind become one with the truth. The merit of this bodhisattva life is most excellent. There is merit in building a stupa that reaches far into the heavens, but compared to this, the merit is 100th. A stupa may be ruined, but the merit of this vow is always increasing toward enlightenment and will never lose its power. Going far beyond delusion without throwing away this earthly body, even though we do not know our own enlightenment, we are already the real children of the Buddha. Reflect on the virtue of your parents, your family, your teachers, and community. Consider and be grateful for the blessings bestowed by the land, the water, and trees. Go now and pay respects to them all. And also go now and prostrate to the founder of this temple, Butsugen Joshin Dai Osho. This is Liberation Manifest. Ame
the Sanghas. Homage to our original teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Homage to all the Bodhisattva ancestors. I pray that you will all come here as witness. Let us recite the names of Buddha. Vajrayana Buddha Vijaya Dharma Gaya. Vajrayana Buddha Gamli Samloka Gaya. Shakyamuni Buddha This clump of hair is called the Shuddha. Only a Buddha can cut it off. I am going to cut it off. Will you permit me to do so or not?
Yes.
This clump of hair is called the Shuddha. Only a Buddha can cut it off. I am going to cut it off. Do you permit me to do so or not?
Yes.
This clump of hair is called the Shuddha. Only a Buddha can cut it off. I am going to cut it off. Do you permit me to do so or not?
Yes.
This clump of hair is called the Shuddha. Only a Buddha can cut it off. I am going to cut it off. Will you permit me to do so or not?
Yes.
This clump of hair is called the Shuddha. Only a Buddha can cut it off. I am going to cut it off. Will you permit me to do so or not?
Yes.
This clump of hair is called a Shuddha. Only a Buddha can cut it off. I am going to cut it off. Will you permit me to do so or not?
Yes.
You will continue to be known in the Dharma as Shinei, sacred flower. No, that's later. You will continue to be known in the Dharma as Genki, profound radiance. Let us recite the robe verse. Hang To take the precepts, you should first perform Sangha, atonement. There is a Sangha verse that has been maintained by the Buddhas. By reciting it, your past wrongdoings lose their hold on you. Repeat after me. All my best and harmful karma. Born from beginningless greed, hate, and illusion. Through body, speech, and mind. I now fully avow. How my best and harmful karma. Born from beginningless greed, hate, and illusion. Through body, speech, and mind. I now fully avow. All my best and harmful karma. Born from beginningless greed, hate, and illusion. Through body, speech, and mind. I now fully avow. You have cleansed your body, speech, and mind and become pure by the power of Sangha. You should take refuge in the three treasures of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. When refuge is taken, the three merits are complete. No santen sui bamutsu senshi nari. No santen sui bamutsu senshi nari. No santen sui bamutsu senshi nari. Repeat after me. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in the unsurpassable Buddha. I take refuge in the immaculate Dharma. I take refuge in the harmonious Sangha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. Now you have left behind your past misdeeds and taken refuge in the triple treasure. From this time, the Buddha in true enlightenment are your real teacher. Call the Buddha your master. This is my benevolence to you. You have received the precepts of the three treasures. Now you should receive the 3 pure precepts and the 10 grave precepts. 3 pure precepts. Embracing codes and forms. From this present state till that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Embracing good dharmas. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Embracing living beings. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
These are the 3 pure precepts. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain these precepts or not?
I will.
These are the 3 pure precepts. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain these precepts or not?
I will.
These are the 3 pure precepts. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain these precepts or not?
I will.
Next are the 10 grave precepts. First precept, not killing. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Second precept, not stealing. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Third precept, not misusing sexuality. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Fourth precept, not speaking falsely. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Fifth precept, not dealing in intoxicants. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Sixth precept, not discussing faults. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Seventh precept, not praising self and criticizing others. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Eighth precept, not being stingy with dharma or wealth. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
Ninth precept, not being angry. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
10th precept, not disparaging the triple treasure. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain this precept or not?
I will.
These are the 10 grave precepts. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain these precepts or not?
I will.
These are the 10 grave precepts. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain these precepts or not?
I will.
These are the 10 grave precepts. From this present state to that of becoming a Buddha, will you maintain these precepts or not?
I will.
Maintain them as stated. Having received the precepts of living beings and Buddhas, you enter the rank of the myriad Buddhas. This is truly to become a child of awakening. At this time, in all the Buddha lands of the 10 directions, auspicious signs appear. The earth trembles and flowers fall. The bodhisattvas of other worlds ask their Buddha what this means. And the Buddhas reply that in the world of suffering, among those who are heir to the dharma of Shakyamuni Buddha, people of faith have given rise to a serious intention. They have been converted to the truth and have received the pure great precepts of the bodhisattvas from the preceptor who previously received them from the line of Shakyamuni's heirs. In a future age, they will become Buddhas through this merit. It is for this reason that the universe rejoices. In every Buddha land, these miraculous signs have appeared. Upon hearing this explanation, the bodhisattvas bow toward you, saying, "If this is so, you are the same as we, fellow travelers on the way. Hence, with all Buddhas as preceptors and with the bodhisattvas as your friends, you are able to receive these precepts. Their merit is indestructible and secure. This is the precept that never ages and never decays. I pray that you may never lose it and that you always maintain and keep it. Although there are causes and conditions for every circumstance partakes of the Dharma body. How could there be a realm where the precept does not apply? Who shall dedicate this merit? With what and to whom shall this merit be dedicated? Although there is a giver and receiver, the 3 wheels are completely pure. There is nothing to be wished for. Let us preserve our good karmic roots and together with all sentient beings make a dedication of merit that is equally shared to supreme and perfect awakening." All Buddhas who have been and died are honored ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, abiding in this ephemeral world like a lotus in muddy water. The mind is pure and goes beyond